happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Mintakando has taken his seat, and the NDC say the vetting must go on, and they will not allow any person to proceed and do this on themselves. We should try and speak to more people. And so, Honorable Santampuli, your view is that this vetting must not happen now.
No, I mean, really and truly, anytime we are coming to vet, we have a schedule of the number of nominees who will be vetted each day, all right? Now we have a list of those who will be vetted today. We have exceeded that number, and you have continue to bring more nominees. At what time are we going to work with the list? So that it's like an ambush, all right? Out of nowhere, they just pull nominees to come to the table for vetting.
Well, it's chaos. There's a table. There's an attempt to move some tables from there. They say they're not going to allow that. Honorable. There's a confrontation. Well, the former deputy minister for trade, the former deputy trade and industry ministry minister, clashing. This is literally a clash. This is literally MPs involved in fisticuffs, and they say that the vetting process must not happen. There's heightened security. The marshal is himself here in a meeting. You can't do focal. It's a lot of confrontation. To ensure that things are done appropriately for this vetting to ultimately happen. But the MP say they will not allow that. They try and put things together, and they say that they are not going to allow that. They are not going to allow that. It's a big confrontation. It's a big confrontation. The minority leader himself in the car trying to do this. Honorable Kami Bakwe really confronted, and ultimately saying that they are not going to allow that. Well, a lot of violent scenes right here at the appointment committee with the clerk of parliament himself here trying to try and stop things out. There's a table there, as you can see. The table has been just lighted. Now, as you can see in the middle.
The other to take their oath. And then the second batch of people, witnesses who are not here, will show the same video to them, and then we'll go through the same process with them. And so I will want to plead with our minister, since the leader of the house is here, if they can permit the leader of the house, will allow the leader of the house, Honorable Muhammad Yariga, to take the oath, and then he will tell us what exactly he witnessed on that day. After that, we'll take Honorable Kwame Agboja and then Honorable Jifa Gomashi, and then on that direction.
We want them to sit in while the witness is speaking.
give before this committee
touching the matter in issue
shall be the truth, the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me Allah.
So help me Allah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mahama Ayariga, Leader of the House. Please, can you tell this committee what you witnessed on the 30th of January 2025 and what you know about the incident that has happened on that fateful day? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. On the said day, around 6 to 7 p.m., I came to this room where the committee was sitting, and I took a seat, I think where Honorable Bidziding is seated now. And I observed proceedings. When I came into the committee room, the nominee to the Ministry of Transport was the one being vetted, and I observed the vetting for a while until the vetting of the nominee for transport was completed. And then there was a decision by the chairman to invite Honorable Akando to take his seat so that he will be vetted. That was when I noticed that there was some strong expression of disagreement by the minority side of the committee. But I remained seated for a while, and I was observing proceedings to see how the chairman of the committee was going to manage the situation. So I was seated there for a long time. I never got up. I never uttered a word. I just sat there and I was watching. And the minority members rose up and will not sit, will not leave the room, and publicly were expressing their disagreement with the chairman to continue with the vetting exercise. So I remained seated, and after a while, when I noticed that it was difficult for the chairman to bring order to the room, I decided to get up from where I was seated and start talking to both sides to understand what really was the problem. Because I'm not a member of the committee. I don't know what discussions took place. I just heard both sides exchanging words and shouting at each other. I heard words like ambush. I heard words like we didn't agree on this. And I heard words like we must vet them. And I heard words like you cannot stop us. And so I knew that there was some disagreement somewhere, but what it was, I didn't know. So I tried to talk to them to try and hear what the issue was. So I walked to all the sides trying to understand what is the problem. On the minority side, they said that they had had some discussions, and the understanding was that they were supposed to vet 3 nominees. And then later on, there was a plea to add a 4th nominee, and they agreed. After that, there was a plea to add a 5th nominee, and that was the nominee for the Minister of Transport. And then there was resistance. But according to them, Honorable Nitu tried to convince the side to accede to the plea by the majority side to add the nominee for the Ministry of Transport. And so ultimately they agreed. And that was the nomination that I came and met But towards the end, they have seen that the majority side is parading 2 additional nominees, and those were Akando and then Honorable Ablakwa, and that they were not going to entertain the nomination of these 2 other, the vetting of these 2 other nominees. And I heard their side. So I tried to speak to the chairman and then the majority side. They also indicated that there was no agreement to vet only 3 people, and that because of the decision to hear Vamevo, they had pushed all those who were supposed to be nominated that day to the Thursday. So they were hoping to clear both the nominees for Wednesday and Thursday on Thursday. So that was what they were seeking to achieve, which is just to complete the task that was before them. And there was strong disagreement. So I tried to convince the majority side that how about if they agree to vet Akando so that you push Ablakwa to Friday morning. Is that acceptable? Minority side, and try to plead with them. Is it okay for you to vet Akando since he's already seated, and then we can defer Ablakwa to Friday morning? And they also said no, they will not vet Akando. Some were okay, some said we don't have a problem with Akando, but we have a problem vetting Ablakwa tonight. So I decided to engage the minority leader, and I asked him to come out of the committee room with me so that we can talk. So outside, he gave a very strong objection and said his side will not agree, and that they were tired, and they agreed on 3, and they had been generous enough to do 5, and we want to push them to do 7. It was too much, and it was already late. It was about 8 p.m., and they were tired. They would not continue the work. So when I noticed that he could not come along with me to at least agree to vet Akando, I came back trying to talk to some people on his side to prevail on him, and the situation had degenerated where it had gotten to breaking tables and people holding each other's shirts, and I tried to separate some of the fights and tried to pull some people out again. So I just kept going in and out, trying to pull people out and talk to them because it was too noisy in the committee room. Nobody could hear the other. So the only way I could get to talk to people was to pull them outside the meeting room and then try to talk to them and come back into the meeting room. And the audience were mostly behind the nominee, were also participating in, as you could see in the videos, shouting and, shaming members of the minority side. And then also the corridors were full. So even within the corridor, it was difficult to move around freely. So that was the situation. So I decided to call 1 or 2 people to consult and take a decision on what to do. And ultimately, I decided that it would be better to end the proceedings, by which time they had broken one table. They had pulled out the plugs of the microphones, and in 1 or 2 instances, they had actually smashed the microphones. And so I thought the best thing to do was to bring proceedings to an end and get the chairman to postpone it to the following day. And so I announced that, and they all accepted and dispersed. Those were what I saw and what I did on that day.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. Colleagues, this is the witness account. Any question from any of our members then we can discharge him to go.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Majority Leader, if you could just confirm, just for the records, that the video that we just watched is an accurate depiction of what you remember on the day.
Depending on where you were seated that evening, you will see different things. I was seated exactly where Honorable Bidsiding is seated. So I could only see directly opposite me a lot of what was happening on this side until I got up. I was seated for a very long time, to tell you the truth. I was just seated calmly throughout. And so I saw a bit of what was directly opposite me. On this side, I only saw Akando sitting here, and then he had a few people behind him. I think that the video depicts an aspect of what happened, depending on where the camera was positioned. As you can see them, they were positioned at different locations. Some were to the left, others to the right, and so those who were to the right were capturing. But when it got heated, some took their cameras and tried to capture it from a position that they thought could tell the story better. So and others used their mobile phones, and they came and they were all over the place trying to capture different angles. So this, I believe, reflects one of the angles, but there were different other angles.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. We have a lot of videos from different angles, from different people. But this is just to identify that you were there on that day. And so thank you very much.
I was there.
Okay. Any more so that we can dispatch and take other witnesses?
Majority Leader, may I find out from you the chaos that you've just described? Do you have the time in mind that the chaos happened? You said you walked into the room between 6 and 7 p.m. and sat for some time and sat through the Minister of Transport vetting. But when the misunderstanding occurred, at what time was it?
I believe that was between 7 and 8
p.m.
Between 7 and 8 p.m., yeah. I think that's when the confusion started and dragged on for a while.
Thank you very much. Leader, Majority Leader, I'd just like to find out whether there was a prior agreement to vet Honorable Akujato and Honorable Akando for the day, in addition to the ones that were undertaken, whether leadership of the committee actually had that agreement. Thank you.
The original schedule actually provided for Ablakwa to be vetted on Thursday. Indeed, he had approached me personally to see if it could be vetted earlier, because the president had started traveling, and I think was even traveling to one of the Eastern or Southern African countries. And the suggestion was that the president was traveling and he didn't have the support of his Minister for Foreign Affairs. So it was important to see if we could have Ablakwa taken so that he could be sworn in and he could start working around the president's travels. So he approached me to see if he could be shifted to Wednesday or even Tuesday. And it was difficult because others had been scheduled earlier. So to shift him, you needed to move somebody out. I, on a number of occasions, tried to get the chairman to shift him forward. It didn't happen. So I negotiated that they should vet him on Wednesday. And it turned out that on Wednesday, there was a decision to invite Vamevo and not to vet any nominee. So it then became the position that the original date of Thursday that he was scheduled was the day that he will be vetted. So the week before, he had already been scheduled to be vetted on Thursday. So Thursday was his appropriate vetting day.
Yeah, Leader, I'm vetting 3. But by the intervention of Honorable Nituo, the Minister for Transport, the nominee for Transport, they agreed to vet that minister on that Thursday. I don't know whether I heard you right.
I said I spoke to both sides that they were to vet 3 nominees. But then when they came after the 3 nominees, their colleagues convinced them and they added 1 nominee. And after that, their colleagues requested for an additional nominee, and that was a nominee for Minister of Transport. They resisted that, but Nituo, who was part of them, pleaded on behalf of the nominee for Transport, so they added him and vetted 5 of them. That is the account given by the minority members that I spoke to that day.
Colleagues, we'll take the last one, then we can ask the leader to go.
Thank you very much. You approached both leadership, the minority and then the majority, and yet they failed to arrive at a compromise. You approached them both, tried to mediate, and yet they failed to arrive at a compromise. Thank you.
Yeah, I spoke to both sides. I spoke to them. I tried to convince them, but each side was adamant, insisted that somebody like Ablakwa had been slated to be vetted that date. He had come with his family and his chiefs. I think the pressure was coming from the fact that the nominees on the record were slated for that day, and the nominees had come here with their families and their chiefs, and they were all out there. So members of the majority side were having a difficulty. What do we do with these families? What do we do with these chiefs that we have made to travel all, this far to come, and then we'll tell them it's 8 p.m. They've sat here since morning, and you want us to tell them to go back? And that was the difficulty, that the nominees were here with their families, with their chiefs, and to ask the nominees to go back with their families and come back the following day was going to be a major inconvenience. That was really what was pushing. It wasn't just because they had the numbers and they could railroad their way through. It was just, what do we do? I had confronted a similar situation last week where nominees had come with even the president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, the president of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs, with his whole, Regional House of Chiefs. They were here, 10, 15 chiefs. Greater Accra he sat here the whole day. And then we finished approving, taking the report on those whose reports had been laid in the House. We finished around 8. They were tired, and they couldn't start approving, processing them. And the majority said they would not agree. Those chiefs had been sitting here the whole day, and they couldn't tell them to go back home. So on that day, I had to take responsibility. And I invited the nominees themselves into a room outside here and personally pleaded with them. They begged and begged. I said, no, it is late. It is 8 p.m. And you know that the average number of hours we spend on each nominee is 3 hours. So just do the calculation. If we take you'll be here till 11. Then the next chief and next nominee and his chiefs will sit and also start at 11 and do 3 hours. That will be, the nominees then calm down. I remember one nominee said the day before she had come to see us, and we agreed and confirmed and assured her that she'll be vetted. And this dress that she had prepared for this vetting, she had worn it and come, and then I'm saying she should go home and change her dress and come back. And then we joked about it, but then she agreed and said, but she didn't know what to do about her chiefs. So I said, leave that to me. So I asked for the president of the Greater Accra House of Chiefs to come to the meeting, and he came with his elders. And I explained to him the situation we found ourselves. I said, Nana, this is the situation. It is 8 o'clock. By the time we start, it will be 9 o'clock. And the average is 3 hours. Nana, do you want to sit here till 12 midnight? Then he said, no. And I said, so what can you do for us? I said, well, I can agree to do it tomorrow. And so we resolved it. It took a lot of effort to persuade the chiefs to go back and then return the following day. The following day, that nominee was wearing an even more pretty dress. So I said, see, we give you an opportunity to wear an even more pretty dress.
Leader, today. I hope if we give you the whole day, you narrate everything to us. So please.
According to what they told me was what to do about the chiefs and then the families who had come.
Thank you very much, Leader. We want to discharge you. You are discharged. If we have any further questions, we'll come back to you, sir. Witness will be Honorable Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable Kwame Govins Abuja. We'll be getting ready.
I, Kwame Abuja, swear by Almighty God, that the evidence I shall give before this committee, touching the matter in issue, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Govins Abuja, you've watched the video. Can you tell us what you know about what happened here?
Having been the immediate past majority chief whip, I know vettings happen after the appointment committee normally have their pre-sitting meetings and agree on things. And in the case of the particular incident, the committee had a master plan at an opportunity to, though I was no longer a member of the committee after I was appointed, to sit in just to serve without incident. It is not unusual for members of the committee to disagree on how many and what time to start, but eventually, normally, the majority side, which is supposed to be done. My understanding is that if you all notice, the committee started vetting, but on a particular day of Wednesday before the Thursday incident, though a number of colleagues were scheduled to be vetted, there was a decision to bring in Mr. Vomawo to appear before the appointment committee. It meant that all colleagues who were scheduled to appear on the Wednesday on the master list or master program couldn't be vetted. Though many of them have also made arrangements for those who they want to come and give them moral support, have already made plans and were almost ready. In fact, some of them were in town. So it meant that all who actually were supposed to be vetted on the Wednesday have to be shifted to the Thursday. As said by the leader, I know Honorable Ablakwa wanted to be vetted a week before the week into which the incident happened. They couldn't give him the opportunity to be vetted. So originally, Honorable Ablakwa was supposed to be vetted on the Thursday. So if anybody says Honorable Ablakwa was being smuggled, so he prepared. The challenge happened when I think we had to shift almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who were supposed to be vetted on the Wednesday to be added to the Thursday. Then it became an issue of an attempt to negotiate who should we take. The minority insisted we should only do 3. And that if you remember, that was like a standard. But we had 60 ministers to go in a short period of time. I noticed that they insist we are vetting 3, and the majority will say we are vetting more than 3 in the period. And I unofficially participated in part of the roadside discussions. So if the discussion is going beyond a certain time, they say, okay, let's go and start. The minority takes it that what they said the last time before we entered the vetting was that we want to vet 3. The majority believes, no, we are not vetting 3, we are vetting all these people. So just on record, on the Wednesday, the spillover from the Wednesday, which is about 5, added to the 3 originally scheduled, which was supposed to be Honorable Ibrahim Tia, Samuel Nate, and Honorable Akujeto, were originally supposed to be vetted Thursday, the 30th of January. Are supposed to be vetted. That decision has to be made by the committee and have some leeway. So if anybody says we were originally to vet 3, we give in and added 1, making it 4, and somebody is trying to make it 5, that is not entirely the situation. The situation was that the appointment committee elected not to vet on Wednesday, and people have made plans to be vetted on Wednesday and Thursday, and they ought to know that they should have been ready to vet 8 people on the day of 30th January. On the particular issue, what I saw, it's not unusual for members of parliament to argue. This house is so we argue on the floor, at committees. So nothing on that day you look to me as a former whip as an unusual situation. Where it got difficult for me is when, out of lack of agreement, I saw my colleagues on the minority side, and I made this point on the floor, when the minority side started having a go directly at the clerk of the committee. For me, that was not right, because like I said on the floor, in Parliament, we are all not blind. We have parliamentary service staff. We have members of Parliament are known by their party colors, except independent people. But for us to see colleagues begin to identify his NDC, his NPP, for me, I knew something was not right. And so I got really shocked. So all I could do was to pull back and watch. And unfortunately, colleagues, and I saw my my colleague, Minority Chief Whip, insisting, and I agree with him, he's a whip. We need to hold a certain line given to him, and not for it. So initially, when he got up and said, we are not having it, I've done same in the past, we are not doing it. Where it got a bit, we are doing it, we are government, we need to get this done. But even then, it wasn't even an issue. Then some other colleagues on the minority side, in the video you could see, maybe they couldn't see that the video was capturing them, begin to turn their backs towards the table and begin to open up the gap between the closing of the table and pulling the table, to the extent that when that appears not to be working for them, you could hear, I don't have to tell you, you could hear people, I mean, all sorts of things. Everybody in the world knows this is not right. And I saw Honorable, the respected majority leader came in, tried to appeal to my console and rip the cable off and smash it on the table. So if you watch that day,
sorry, can you mention it? Because
no, I said I was shocked. I couldn't tell exactly, but all I realized was that by the time I realized the equipment in front of me.
But you can identify him.
I didn't see him in the video doing it. That is what I'm saying. That okay. I realized my equipment was damaged. I'm sure if you watch the entire spectrum of the video, you will see who was damaging the equipment.
Okay.
And then I saw one of the tables go up and.
Honorable Minister, we watched all the videos where you were seated.
Yeah.
We didn't see any of our colleagues pulling. We saw some videos, some colleagues pulling out some of the cable, not from your side. So we have those evidence there. And so we want to take that one out because we did not see it. If you have evidence that you can show it to the committee, then that person can be surcharged. Okay. But the ones that we saw, we have evidence of it.
Okay. So you will notice that the left-hand side was ripped off. We needed the head of the table was in one console to speak because I did not have audience at the committee. So if you watch, we need to place back those equipment which were supposed to be on this table myself. But you notice that in the video, you see that there are many broken ones in front there. So for me, all I can say is it's an unfortunate situation. I totally support the action of Mr. Speaker to de-escalate by allowing our colleagues to, at the moment, continue to serve their constituency.
Do you have questions for the witness?
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I'm just trying to ascertain the timeline. The console that was ripped away from you, was this after the other table that had been broken was taken out, or was this before? I'm just trying to understand.
No, it's like I said from the beginning. I said I didn't know exactly who ripped off, but I heard words. Muntiti,
Muntutu or Muntiti?
No, Muntutu, I think Muntutu was when they were about the table, the leg of the table. That is what I heard. Then, if you watch the videos, you will see somebody removing the connections, the clarity.
Honourable Minister, well, I mean, from the tree where there's the Montri and Muntu, which are two different things. Who ripped it? What I'm trying to ascertain is whether this destruction to the console happened after that table was taken away from the room, because you're saying that everything was put on this table. What I'm trying to ascertain is whether the destruction to this microphone you're referring to happened after the table had been moved, or this happened before that other table was removed.
Sitting from where I was sitting, I thought some of them were destroyed on the table before the table was removed, and they were placed back on the only table available.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, do you think that the response time for interventionists, let me put it that way, for this whole, maybe the marshals should have come in a bit earlier, or what, in your judgment, as you are here, what do you think?
As a whip, a former whip, it is a delicate balance for marshals and the police in Parliament to intervene if issues are about us. As much as they want to protect us, they are hesitant to fully deploy if it's about us. And I noticed that because I was a whip. Now, it's not as if they couldn't have, in my mind, physically restrain and take some people who we all saw in the video, obviously misbehaving out. But these are colleagues, members of Parliament. Their response time was spot on. What to do in the particular situation. But the solution would have been that 5 people on Wednesday have written to them and elect to bring in Mr. Vomawo and spend the whole day on him. In fact, I was encouraging them, after Mr. Vomawo have been dealt with, let's go ahead and vet the rest of the people. After we have elected, the patient of being added to the next day, and who says we've not vetted 8 people on the day before? But people decide that we are not going to vet anybody, and now rather pick and choose from the people who were not vetted on Wednesday, and say that for the Thursday, the original people shouldn't be vetted. I think that is where the problem was. If we had agreed to vet all the people that couldn't have been vetted on the Wednesday, in addition to the Thursday, there shouldn't have been any issue at all. So that is how I see it.
Honorable Kwame Boja, I'm sure you'll permit me to call you Kwame.
I'm Kwame.
The day that you, Honorable Vobawo was smuggled in, I thought that was what he said. He was not scheduled, but he was added on when you had not.
I did not see a schedule to invite Mr. Vomawo. So those words, smuggle, actually are your own words. I didn't use it.
Okay. Now, on that day that Mr. Vomawo was invited, how many people were vetted?
No one was vetted, but 5 were scheduled.
So that day he was the only person that was interrogated.
He was the only person who sat where I was for.
Okay, I get it. Yes. So it means that all the 5 were pushed to the next day. All the 5 that were scheduled to be vetted were pushed to, that was Wednesday, isn't it? Were pushed to Thursday.
Yes, so on the master list that I have, on the Wednesday, the 29th of January, Honorable Rashid Perpo was supposed to be vetted at 9 a.m. Honorable Ibrahim Mutala at 11, Honorable Kofi Idi at 1 p.m., Honorable Joseph Bukari Nikpe at 3 p.m., and Honorable Isifu Seidu at 5 p.m. None of them were vetted on the Wednesday. And on the Thursday, those who were supposed to be vetted, Ibrahim Tia at 9 a.m., Honorable Samuel Nate George at 11 a.m., and Honorable Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa at 1 p.m. So that is what the original situation was. But the same committee decided, and rightly so, to invite Honorable Vomawo because of the unfortunate comment he made.
Sorry, Mr. Vomawo.
Center of the difficulty was not vetting on Wednesday. And instead of vetting the people who were originally scheduled for Thursday, they rather wanted to pick and choose people who were not vetted on Wednesday and vet them. That is what the problem was.
Okay, so on the next day, that was the Thursday, instead of the committee vetting 3 people, they were now supposed to vet 8. Is that correct?
I would have thought, being fair to colleagues who were supposed to be vetted on Wednesday and Thursday, they could have vetted all of them because they knew before deciding not to vet anybody on Wednesday that what it meant was that to catch up with the schedule, you need to plan to vet people who were originally supposed to be vetted on Wednesday in addition to the original Thursday scheduled people.
So from what you're saying and looking at the timetable, it would have been possible if they decided to complete.
Sincerely believe they could have vetted 8 people on that day.
If you look at the timetable, one from 9, the second around, did you say 5? The original timetable, because you are a leader, I asked this. So looking at the timing, at what time did you think that these other 5 nominees could have been slated? Because now they started those who were supposed to be vetted from 9 o'clock. And then at the time the chaos started, I think it was around 8 p.m. and about 3 nominees were to be interviewed. From that time, when the chaos has started, around 7 or 8 p.m., was it possible to go through the 3 nominees, and what time did you think that they were going to finish?
On the original plan, the 5 were supposed to be vetted. The last person was supposed to be on the chair at 5 p.m. I'm sure there was a reason they put time against all of them. So if you were going to vet, and the last person, which is the 5th person on the Friday, was going to be sitting here by 5 o'clock, it would have been left with 3. And it's a committee. They can decide that they will vet the rest After 5 o'clock, the rest of the 3 come. On the Thursday, you'll notice that Honorable Kujetu was supposed to be here at 1 o'clock. What it means is that maybe by 2 o'clock, he would have been finished, and then you add the rest. So it's an issue of time management of the committee. Even in Parliament, it gets to a point the Speaker will say, you speak for 5 minutes, and they stick to it. So that one was entirely in the bosom of the committee to decide how much time they spend on each nominee.
Now ask this, because you've been a leader all this while. And to be fair to the nominees, they have invited their chiefs, their wives, their relatives, and whatnot to assist them or to attend the vetting. Did you get to know whether leadership had agreed to reschedule any of them, or it was agreed that all the 8 were going to be vetted, because all of them had brought their followers?
Around in Parliament on that day. Some slept in, some colleagues need to beg other colleagues to allow their guests to sleep in their offices because the numbers were such that colleagues couldn't have afforded hotels for them on that day. I saw some of them entering bathrooms or washrooms in the morning. So it was something the committee leadership should have considered ahead of time, that these people were already here. At a point in time, I approached the leadership and said that I know a particular nominee who had close to 100 opinion leaders, chiefs, already on the compound. At the time, they were saying, we can't vet them. The 100 chiefs also were already here. So when we say, what do you want him to do with them? They say, oh, they're already here. They can come tomorrow. Sadly.
We are grateful you attend up on this committee. You are duly discharged.
And I appreciate the work you are doing.
And if we have any other questions, we will call upon you once again. Thank you so much for the insight.
Thank you, Chairman.
Colleagues, we will now invite the Minister for Tourism and Creative Arts, Honorable Jifa Ablagomashi. And please, Honorable Minister, since Deputy Speaker, who is also the chair of the vetting committee, will be presiding this morning, we want to beg of you to give us a few minutes, and then we'll take him. We'll take the chair, the Deputy Speaker, the oath.
I, Bernard Ahiafo, do hereby swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give before these committees, so help me God.
Thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker. We did not watch the video. Our intention was for all witnesses to watch the video before we ask a question. But I know you were at the center of affairs. And so can you tell this committee what really transpired? And in the morning of 31st January, Friday, 2025, can you tell this committee what really transpired on those days?
Honorable Chairman, I perceived members is very disruptive. For me, I find it very difficult to go back on my words, having agreed with you, this is what we are going to do. Now, the whole thing started this way. Sometimes, on the day of the vetting, instruction will be given to the clerk that the minority will be engaged in doing one thing or the other. So instead of 9 o'clock, the vetting should rather start at 10. And when it's affected in the sense that what you have to do between 9 and 10, you will not be able to do it. And then it carries forward. That resulted into a particular day where Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare was supposed to be vetted. We've given her every assurance that she is on the list. They wouldn't be able to continue the vetting. And I was trying to persuade them that in view of the fact that some revered chiefs came all along from Techima, we can endure and vet her for that day to enable them leave the following day. This has even brought Honorable Ayariga between the majority and the,
So,
I will come to the actual.
No, we want to know what date.
Was vetted the following day anyway. So when negotiations failed, we were compelled to go and apologize to the chiefs in the company of Honorable Mahama Ayariga. Then we had program from Monday to Friday. And on Tuesday, the committee's attention was drawn to an ostensible publication allegedly emanating from Mr. Oliver Baka. The money that the nominees are paying to members of the committee.
I don't think you are interested in what happened with that.
Very well.
Right.
The committee, instead of seeing, a decision was taken by the minority side that on that Tuesday, based on that post, there should be no vetting at all. And we had to more or less plead and prevail on them that in view of the fact that we had already invited the nominees who are here with the chief's opinion leaders, it would be unfair not to vet them. So we should go ahead with the vetting. Honorable committee members, if you go to play the video on that Tuesday, what we agreed upon.
Was it a Wednesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Before Mr.
Vomawa
was
on
invited.
Wednesday.
Okay.
When we even resumed sitting, you could see the posture of the minority whip that we will not continue the vetting, banging the table. We will not continue the vetting that day. I employ the committee members to look at the proceedings on that Tuesday. So that was the posture. We had to permeate our way through to be able to do the vetting of the people selected for that day. Now, at conclave, we agree that Wednesday we'll deal with the issue pertaining to Oliver Baker Vomawa. Then thereafter, we'll continue to do vetting. Again, the posture from the minority side was that that Tuesday, there would be no vetting. That Wednesday, there will be no vetting on Wednesday. Life is all about give and take. As a result, we are not able to vet any nominee on Wednesday, and then we use the Wednesday to deal with the issues pertaining to Mr. Oliver Baka Vamawa. Though we closed early because of the decision that there was not going to be vetting, we then used the period to task the clerk with the responsibility to merge that Wednesday with Thursday. The nominees that are to be vetted on Wednesday that we couldn't do, she should merge it with Friday. And then let's look at the number. Now the number became 8. And at a meeting, we've decided that if on average we have to use 2 hours on one person, then that would have been 16 hours of sitting. It would have been too much, given the fact that some people may be vetted within 1 hour. We agreed to do the first 6. First, it was the first 5. Then I received a call from Honorable Minority Leader that he is okay, we can add a candle to be taken on that day. Therefore, 6 people were programmed to be taken. Then there was an agreement that the backlog, being the 2, should be added to the following day, which is Friday. And if we are not able to exhaust, then we can take a decision whether we are coming on Saturday or it should be Monday or Tuesday. In fact, this has also brought in Honorable Mahama Ayariga, the leader of the House. And he even came out to say that clearly we need to negotiate the Saturday because Saturday is not a working day. So therefore, if you are not able to finish on Friday and we cannot come on Saturday, then probably Monday or Tuesday will be the next available date. So I was surprised that in the morning of that Thursday, the clerk came to me to say that instead of what we have agreed upon, she has received a text message from the minority whip in the person of Anodompreh, which text message she showed to me, that we are only going to do 4. That is why I have a difficulty. You agree on one thing, then behind you want to do another thing. I wasn't comfortable. So I just told the clerk that whatever we agreed upon, that is what we are going to do. So on that Thursday, we had programmed to start the first person at 9 o'clock. I came to office around 8:30, about 8:45. I received a call from the assistant clerk to the effect that he had received a call from Honorable Anodompreh that there will be a caucus meeting of the minority. Therefore, instead of 9 o'clock, we should again start proceedings at 10 o'clock. For me, as a member of parliament, you may not have control over a caucus meeting. So when they are going to have a caucus meeting, I have no problem about it. So I have decided to walk to the chamber. Then on my way to the chamber, I met few MPs from the minority side and asked, I understand you are having a caucus meeting. Are you not attending the caucus meeting? Only for me to be told that there was no caucus meeting. So 10 o'clock, I have decided to start the vetting. And when they walk in after I have started, I told them in a plain language that I do not like the seat. We are all members of parliament. If you have a challenge of a caucus meeting, I would agree with you. But a situation where you do not have a caucus, but you deceive me in order to delay the proceedings of that day, to say that you have a caucus meeting, I won't take it candidly. And that is not the way we should be going. The response was that if they mean caucus meeting, it doesn't mean the entire minority caucus. As if I do not know the meaning placed on the caucus in our own standing orders. I took it in a good faith, and we were proceeding. I was surprised after vetting the Minister for Transport. Based on the agreement, I asked the minister designate for health to take his seat. It was there that I realized that we are tired, we will not do Honorable Akando. Akando will not be vetted today in a very rowdy manner. Based on my posture, I was engaging the minority leader to the effect that you said you are comfortable for Akando to be taken today. What has changed? What really has changed? Mostly the response will be that it is not me, I am under pressure. It's not me, I am under pressure. I'm also a politician, I understand. So I was making an attempt to persuade them that in view of the fact that Honorable Akando had to bring the chiefs and opinion leaders from Juaboso, and he being the last person, there are instances where vetting of the committee will end at 10, 10:30, 11. And this is just getting to about 8 o'clock. So we could accommodate and take Honorable Akando for that day so that the rest of the two will be shifted to the following day. And if we are not able to finish the following day, then we could consequently adjust ourselves and finish the following week. Then what I realized was that whilst that negotiation was ongoing, I heard the minority leader requesting that they should call some people into the vetting room. And in no time, they started walking to the vetting room. And that very day, minority leader was so harsh to the deputy, second deputy whip, Jerry Ahmed Shaib. I intend not to repeat the words inflicted on him that very day. So I realized that they were under some kind of instruction from their leader to do certain things. Honorable members of the committee, let me place on record that there are some instances where my ranking member will ask their side that they should all stand up and put on the microphone. And by putting on the microphone, all other microphones will be disabled. And you cannot do anything when all the microphones were on. So to some extent, I do not really understand what they want. Because, honorable members, by my level of tolerance and the way and the manner I have accommodated them, sometimes I do not expect to be treated in a particular way. And as I said, life is about give and take. We were prepared to give and we were prepared to take. So I also expected them to also give and take. So before I could realize, somebody said something in tree and they started pulling the cables, and I mean there was a pandemonium. The whole place became very hostile. And if you can watch the video carefully, I was so much surprised about the incidents of that day, and I was just sitting down looking at them. As usual, the honorable leader came in trying to restore order, but they wouldn't listen. And once the video accounts is before you, I intend not to repeat whatever happened because I need the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Bernard, I hope I'm allowed to call you.
Yes, please.
Bernard, because I might forget myself if I always have to say something. It's finished. So, colleagues, if you have some questions for him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable First Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the committee. From the account that you have given, and then being firm about your scheduling, would you want to agree with me you took not to vet nominees who were scheduled for Wednesday, and you knew very well that these nominees had invited people, chiefs, their friends, their relatives, and whatnot. And yet, the committee was persuaded by the minority not to carry out vetting. And that is what actually created the congestion and the subsequent challenges that we have. I believe that.
Thank you very much for your question. I understand the impulse of your question. If our integrity as members of the committee were at stake, in the history of our Fourth Republic, every vetting cycle will be tagged with corruption. And I distate corruptions and corruption-related matters. So for the committee to be tagged with corruption, which I know it is not true, any reasonable person, guided by all those considerations that regulate the content in our image before continuing the vetting. And honorable members, on that Wednesday, I was with the view that we should deal with the issues relating to costs, all of them that day. Then the backlog will be very, very few. But the posture was not favorable. Remember, I told the committee that when our attention was drawn to the post on Tuesday, our friends from the minority have already taken a decision that there would be no vetting until that issue was resolved. That was the reason for me asking the committee to take a look at the proceedings. A lot of negotiation had gone into continuing the proceedings even on that Tuesday. So we were not successful in agreeing to do the vetting, the backlog. So I will not say it has not contributed to the incidents, it has contributed to the incidents. But I have been in Parliament for a very long time. You can agree and disagree. Even before the committee, there were agreement and disagreement, and we normally suspend. So if you watch the proceedings, there are instances where I will suspend proceedings to go and to be vetted. So I was surprised what really changed when the very last person that you reach out to me to say that you are comfortable for him to be vetted that day. When I invited him to take the seat, then this whole thing have started. So between the time that they communicated to me that he can be added as the sixth person and the time that I invited him to take the seat, I do not know what went on among our colleagues at the minority side.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. We have a lot of questions for you being the chairperson, so please be concise and precise so that we can finish with you for you to be able to go and preside over the House. So please be concise and precise.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Senator.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My question is a twofold question. My first question is, at any point when the situation deteriorated, did you call for order? That's the part A. And, okay, first, that's the first question.
Yes, I did you can hear me shouting, order, let there be order, honorable members, let there be order, let there be order. So I was trying to restore order when word was said in tree, as a moon tree cables. I'm not good at tree. So immediately that has been said, they started pulling the cables, and my microphone was disconnected, and no matter how I shout.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My second question is, at any point after you tried to call for order and that was not happening, did you attempt to suspend the sitting of the committee?
Well, at that point, I really do not see the need. I thought by saying on the side as to what has really changed resulting into this, I thought the two of us could resolve it among ourselves and proceed to conduct the vetting. So whilst that engagement was going on between me and the minority leader, the three word came and they started pulling the cables, and the whole thing just started. I do not know whether the rest of the minority members were having the feelings that my engagement with the minority leader will result into a calm and the proceedings ongoing. And there was that word spilled out, and the whole thing became uncontrollable.
Thank you. So just to make sure, you did not call for a suspension of the sitting. Very well. My final question is, at any point, did the marshals enter the committee room on your instruction? Or did you call for the marshals to enter?
Yes, I asked my usher to bring in the marshal because I sit as a chair with my ears widely open.
Oh, Vincent.
Those who were involved in the scuffle, we had one person who was not a member of Parliament, a stranger, yet he was part of the scuffle.
Well, I won't be surprised. As I indicated, there was a voice saying, call them in. So I wouldn't be able to know exactly who were requested to be called in. And I must say that we have fresh members of Parliament that I am yet to be familiar with. So it's difficult to say this is a member of Parliament, this is not a member of Parliament. But I already told the committee that he said, call them in. And I wouldn't know who exactly were requested to be called in. So it is possible that there may be an imposter called in.
Yeah, Honorable.
Last one.
Sorry.
Just to ask if you recommend in future to beef up the security, especially around this activity, because looking at what happened and what we have also heard, the number of people come along with nominees, would you recommend that in future at least we put some limitation on the number of people that will come along with nominees?
Thank you very much, exactly so. And I must admit that on this occasion, if you look at the letters written to the nominees, there is a maximum beyond which you must not go. That is 10. But I must say, this has been grossly abused by most of the nominees. The letter says 10.
Honorable Bid. Question? Okay. Honorable Izara.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Speaker, since this is your first time of chairing the appointment committee, do you feel that minority showed some bad faith during this episode?
Thank you very much. I have been in minority. and I came to Parliament in majority. I have been involved in committee on part of the minority because there were some external pressure on them, and that has resulted into them doing certain things that ordinarily should not happen. Mr. Chairman, if I may be give you a bit background. Honorable Emmanuel Amaboa was scheduled to be vetted on Monday. Then on Saturday in the evening, I received a call from the minority not too happy about the last State of the Nation address of the former president, particularly the words used by Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. They felt that Honorable Amaboa. And I said, no, this will be real difficulty. I would find it very difficult to accede to the request, particularly if he has been written to appear on Monday. So I reached out to the clerk of the committee, and there was a confirmation that he had been handed over a letter to appear on Monday. So I called back to say that it's going to be very difficult. The event that unfolded resulted into the influencing the minority leaders' behavior towards the clerk. Because there was an issue to the effect that the clerk should take me as a chairman out of the arrangement to vet or not to vet Amaboa on Monday, Honorable Emmanuel Amaboa on Monday, and take the responsibility, take him also out, and then postpone Emmanuel Amaboa, which was difficult for the clerk to do. And I believe the minority leader is not happy of pressures informing the way they go about doing certain things. There was a pressure that Honorable Sam George should not be vetted. Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa should be the last to be vetted. So a lot has been happening.
Thank you very much, Honorable Enyimedo.
Mr. Chairman, this is the first time you are chairing a committee in this House, is that correct?
I entered Parliament in 2013, and the very first post I was given was the Vice Chairman for the Judiciary Committee, and I have occasion of chairing the Judiciary Committee. Then in my second term, I became the Vice Chairman for the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, and you are aware that I've also been chairing the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. Then I became a ranking member for Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. So this is actually not my first experience chairing, but this is my first experience chairing the Appointment Committee.
Yeah, but what you said, the explanation you've given me, says that you were...
I was Vice Chairman for Judiciary Committee in my first term. So I had
holding the position of a chairman of a committee. This is the first time, because you were vice chair. I'm not saying this is the first experience of chairing a meeting.
Well, your word used is that this is your first time of chairing a committee. Chairing a committee is one thing, and holding the position of a chairman of a committee is another thing.
Okay, so I'm asking the fact that this is the first time you are holding the position of a chairman.
Exactly so.
Right. That prior to when the Thursday meeting, you were at their faces on the Tuesday proceedings.
Tuesday, and the actual rioting started on that Tuesday. I said so because over the publication, we have taken a decision at conclave to deal with the issue. So I was highly surprised that we'll resolve that at conclave. Then we'll come to the sitting, and a member at conclave will be hitting the table that there will be no vetting. There will be no vetting. There will be no vetting. That is why I'm saying that I am surprised about certain turn of event. Because for me, if I agree to do something with you, why would I change my mind all of a sudden and come and be doing something different?
Yeah, I think you have said so, that you are a man of your own words. You don't want you to be taken unaware of the things that you've agreed on from the onset. And so maybe my vice chair will be guided as he asks the next question.
I know Bedan very well. You said along the line, minority leader called, you received a phone call that Honorable Akando should be added to the list of the nominees that we're going to engage on Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm speaking on oath. And this, let me conclude my answer. Yes, and this was followed by his directive to the minority whip, who also called the clerk of the committee that Akando should be added.
Now, when you received this call, did you inform the rest of the committee members that you were going to deal with Honorable Akando on that day?
Well, thank you very much. We have chairman and we have ranking. And you know, chairman leads the majority side and ranking leads the minority side. So what I did was to inform my members in the morning that Akando will be added. And then properly, the minority leader also communicated with his members, leading to the minority whip placing a call to the clerk of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, did you find out whether the minority side had been communicated to so far as this additional nominee was concerned?
Which the minority whip will call the clerk, and the rest of the members may not be aware. But I'm not in a position with the other two.
Mr. Chairman, with a little patience, the scaffold that with me on that.
100%.
Now, the case of the minority was that they were being surprised. Were you surprised to hear that they were being ambushed?
I will be highly surprised. Highly, highly surprised.
Severally, you mentioned...
I said so because some of the changes that were made, the minority leader and the whip has instances of making their input on the table. And maybe probably the clerk of the committee will be able to produce that particular record. Because when we agreed, then I would then instruct the clerk that this is what we have agreed upon. So the clerk should have some of those arrangements that were altered by ticking and cancellation. And they can subject the minority whip.
You have said repeatedly that you had gone into conclave with the committee. How many people did you agree to vet on that Thursday?
That Thursday, original list that was not altered was 3. But because we didn't work on Wednesday, the agreement was that they should merge the 2, be able to do the 8. So we've taken a decision to do the first 5, and there was a follow-up call that we should add Akando, making 6.
So what about Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa? He was supposed to be the 7th person?
Honorable members, Okujeto Ablakwa was one of the original people to be vetted on Thursday. So if you see his letter slated Thursday.
Honorable First Deputy Speaker, you just mentioned that in 6. And so Honorable Okujeto, even though he has original letter slated for Thursday, because the committee agreed that you are going to have that meeting, that you agree that Akando should be added to the 5 members who are supposed to be vetted on Wednesday, shifted to Thursday. So, in a nutshell, Okujeto was not part of the second.
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. Honorable members of the committee, sometimes some of the nominees take less than 1 hour before us. So the instruction to the clerk of the committee is that she should hold the list of the 8. If you are able to go beyond the 6, then they could also be taken. Because sometimes it's difficult to predict the length of time that the 45 minutes, less than 1 hour, they are also vetted. So if we are able to use the same approach, it is possible we could even say that, oh, we want to vet 6 people, but looking at the time that we have finished the vetting, is it possible to take that on that, going beyond the 6? We never had a block mind on that. And as a matter of fact, if you had even started early,
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the chaos engulfed because of poor planning by the committee.
Well, I am of exception in the sense that how could poor planning lead to an arrangement of a timetable?
I say poor planning because as of 8 p.m., we still had, and according to the list and what we have received, you still had 2 nominees waiting with their followers, their chiefs, their relatives, and whatnot as of 8 p.m.
Honorable member, I indicated before the committee that our target is 6. The rest would have been a surplus to the committee, depending upon the way the time was used.
So, it's not my last one. So you say the 6 were, you had planned to vet 6, and 2 more were waiting. So if you had finished, or you were supposed to do the 8 in all. So it was, if we are able to, then the others would be vetted. And therefore you had invited all the nominees to come with their followers.
Honorable member, clearly speaking, because of the backlog, the number went to 8. But before the backlog, the nominees were written to. They were given letters. So it is not the case that we have agreed on the 6 and again issued letter for 2 to be on standby. The number was as a result, because when we agreed on the timetable for the week, the clerk was instructed to give letters according to the calendar agreed upon, according to the program, and then the time frame. So the clerk has already communicated that to them. And it was the 8th for that day was as a result of the backlog, which we'll have to deal with. So it's not the case that they have been written a letter after the backlog to say that we have deliberately invited 8 when we know we can only deal with 6.
Honorable Ahiafo, you insisted when, according to you, some of the minority leaders told you that they were having a caucus meeting and then you, on your own, found out that there was no caucus meeting, at that point, you went ahead to do the vetting without the minority. Is that correct?
No, it is far from that. Honourable members, I waited and I entered the vetting room exactly at 10 o'clock. That they changed the 9 o'clock too. So we commenced proceeding that day around 10:25.
So
the Deputy Speaker must submit himself to oral. Honourable members, the second one was, so all the monies the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay to the appointment committee just to get approved. Are those ones not affected by oral? These allegations has come to the notice of the appointment committee. Based on the direction to the clerk has accordingly invited the said Osajifo Oliver Baka Vomao. If he is before us, may I humbly invite him to take the seat and speak to the committee on oath. Please take the seat. Let me place on record that constitutionally he is entitled to lawyers of his own choice. Honourable members, I am reliably informed that he is in the custody of the marshals, so they are bringing him.
copy for you. Oath of a witness. I,
Mause Hon Oliver Bakavomawo,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter in issue.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Mr. Bakavomawa, you are welcome.
Thank you, Chair.
Our attention has been drawn to some posts in the social media. I will ask the clerk of the committee to give it to you to take a look at it. Before then, is there any legal representation? Please, for the record, you may please announce yourself. And if you are here in company of any other.
Ask permission to stand or to sit to be in proceed.
Honorable member, please take a seat.
Dana Atodaze for with me Victor Kojoga Adawuda, Mr. Chasa Siedu, Dr. Jamal Tongzua, Kojo Bosom Pra Mainsan, Selikan Donko for the witness.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The purpose of inviting the witness has already been stated, and you listened to it very clearly. We are in the process of giving him the said posts for him to identify first and tell the committee whether they are emanating from him.
Mr. Speaker, Chairman, Neda Chulazi leading. Were instructed rather late in the day, yesterday, because apparently this document itself, or the process was served on the 28th, that's yesterday. We had wanted to state our case in writing for the records, but it looks like the urgency of the matter requires that we make some response immediately. Mr. Chairman, it is obvious, Honorable Chairman, it is obvious that the witness at the bar has been called in to explain or to produce evidence with regard to two statements allegedly posted on social media. Two of them, the first one is found in the first paragraph of the invitation letter. The second is in the second paragraph of the invitation letter. As I said, we would have loved to have responded formally for the records. But owing to the fact that this is a very busy committee, would make some remarks and hope brings this matter to a close, depending upon the decision of this honorable committee. But we want to draw our attention to the fact that at the bar here, next to me is Mr. Vomao, an organizer of Democracy Hub and a strong supporter of the democratic process. He served some time in police cells, in prisons, and generally, we believe that he's a valiant warrior for democracy. Please. Now, we'll go straight to the second, particularly to the second statement allegedly posted by him, and clearly state that that statement is fake. He never wrote that statement. He never uttered that statement. He never posted that statement. That statement says, with your permission, that NDC members on the vetting committee take money from Mahama's ministerial nominees before approving them. The deputy speaker must submit himself to oral. This is not from Mr. Baka Vorma. And that's where we end that on our side. It's fake. Some preliminary investigation has shown that this statement appeared on, do you have it?
NPP Projects Bureau.
Well, I'm just quoting, where is it? Yeah. Bureau. There's a document, there's a post that has a title, without being partisan, just quoting, it's a NPP Projects Bureau. We can forward where the post appears. That's we have to search before we got there. I'm not saying that that's any partisan with any partisan interest, basically just factually where it appeared. So we would not want to speak to that. As I said, it's not us. The second one pertains to the matters in the first paragraph. It says, so, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, so all the monies the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay to the appointments committee just to get approved are those ones not affected by oral strange republic. The chairman, we want to say that, yes, this is a post from Mr. Vorma, which he put up on his Facebook, formerly Twitter, no, on the Facebook and X, formerly Twitter account. Now, the point about that statement, we'll just briefly state, is that it was not directed at the appointments committee in any way. It was completely not directed at the appointments committee, was only intended to expose certain matters and material that had come to his notice. Allegedly that some people are apparently on the back of the appointment committee doing other acts which may not enhance
Honorable Counsel, yes, from the statement, yes, did he use the word allegedly?
No, on a proper, simple, direct reading. It says, so all the monies the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay to the appointments committee. Our point is, who is asking them to pay the money to the appointments committee? Certainly he's not saying that it's the appointments committee. No. He said some people are doing that, just to get approved. Are they not the ones affected by oral. Look, I would want to say immediately that, one, it was never his intention to make statements disparaging the appointment committee, one. Two, that the statement that we see is clearly, can be seen as a double meaning or interpretation, depending upon who reads it, but certainly not a matter attacking the appointments committee at all. Indeed, if it's anything at all to go by, it is a statement of a whistleblower saying that some things are happening. And we have passed a Whistleblowers Act in this country, encouraging people to say what they see and to tell what they hear. This is our country. This is our laws from this parliament. So I just don't want to go far, but just to say that with respect, the request for Mr. Onua to produce the...
Leonard Counsel.
Yes, ma'am.
I always say that when a procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, you follow the procedure in exercising the right.
Yeah, right.
The remedy available for the whistleblowers,
yes,
or the rights given to the whistleblowers, is clearly by law.
Yes.
Is it through a social media post?
Well, no, not necessarily. But the point is, I mean, he's a citizen, and he has an obligation to expose, what he sees, just to be just an observer. So what he's seen, I think that under the general rubric of citizenship, he is expected to put it out. It's a liberty to put it out and to advocate that that practice should stop. In which circumstances I would think that a person who comes forward to say that the Honorable Appointments Committee, their honorable job is being affected by some other person, third parties, it should be commended. Under the Whistleblowers Act, he probably will need some compensation for services rendered, really. But I mean, without making it sound like an unserious matter, we're saying that this statement here and the way it's been put out, as though he intended to vilify this honorable committee, is certainly very far away from what he intended the post to be. And that the post was only intended to expose some misconduct by other third parties affecting the work of the committee. Yeah. So with all due respect, you only have to be to hold a public office to understand that this is a normal practice by people to take advantage of people in public office. As you do your job, and then other persons are probably, riding on the back. But we are not here to contend this particular issue. This paragraph, as I said, was written by Onua, and he admits it. It's unfortunate that it's been subject to a second interpretation or misunderstanding of what is written. And as a supporter of democracy, he's ready, willing, and prepared to, one, apologize for this misunderstanding here, and also to withdraw the post. And this is really why we are here. As I said, the second post is completely fake. And this honorable committee is entitled to investigate that one. But we will fight that one tooth and nail anywhere we face. The second one, we apologize if there's a misunderstanding or it's sending the wrong vibes down this appointments committee. Clearly, it was...
Leonard Counsel, I have a difficulty using the word misunderstanding. I said so because the words are very clear and unambiguous. I'm making reference to the one that he's admitting as the author. It says, so all the monies the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay to the appointment committee just to get approved are those ones not affected by ORA. So it means there is some evidence that the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay money to the appointment committee. This is an emphatic statement.
Yes.
So let's deal with this. Then we can come to the statement that he's denying not being the author. We really want to get to the root of the matter.
Yes. Mr. Chairman.
Because this is being cyclical. Every vetting cycle, allegations are made against members of the appointment committee. And they make these wild allegations and get away with it. Learned Counsel, we may not always be members of this particular committee, because those who were members of the committee in the previous parliament, some are not members here. But what is it that every appointment committee is being tagged with bribery and corruption? We need to get to the root of the matter. I am reliably informed that the author of the statement is a lawyer. And the hallmark of lawyers, we don't make sweepy statements. We normally talk based on the facts. That is why we have invited him before the committee to just discharge the honorable responsibility of producing the evidence to substantiate the allegation. Learned Counsel, if he's here with an apology, then all the statements that you have given, for me, is not a sign of remorse, as you are saying.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, it's unfortunate my intervention would appear to be undermining the honorable, thoughts for which we appear here today. Mr. Vormer, as I've indicated, said he made those, he did the post essentially for a purpose. That purpose, as I indicate, would appear to be read in another view. It is in this that he openly apologizes for that statement, but it is to put it in context, Mr. Chairman. That is why I had the background, that basically he says that it's unfortunate that that interpretation is that which has preceded him, and it is for this that he wants to pray that he be given an opportunity to withdraw and to apologize profusely for the statement that is being reproduced here. That's what it is.
Well, I may want to take few remarks from the committee members, and then we'll decide on the way forward, starting from the minority chief whip, Honorable Onua.
Okay, Chairman, thank you for recognizing me, and we welcome our suspect and all the counsel, and a senior counsel who I know quite well. I know I'll have my turn to ask a few questions, but this is just a clarification, specifically based on the presentation, counsel, you made. Let me first of all say that the Post has put this house and this institution we've gone through a lot of pain. Would you mind to clarify on record? You had previously said that you associate yourself and you are proud of the First Post. the second post is not coming from your client. Is that what you said? This is just the first question I want to ask you. And then you also said that you sought out to expose certain happenings. These are my initial observations. As a very respected counsel, and I know you, a very respected counsel, and you had earlier prefixed your statement saying that it was to expose certain happenings.
Yes.
With the benefit of hindsight and the flurry of complaints coming from civil society, media, and all that, would you say that what your client did is something you are proud of?
Well, yes. Well, for me, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, Parliament is all that we have in this country, and we must all protect and do everything to protect the image and standing of Parliament. I have personally participated in various acts to, show up, to create and show up Parliament. So I'm grateful for your comments, but I just want to indicate that, but as counsel, I'm here as counsel. I counsel you for my client, but definitely I think that I would have erred on the side of caution, not to make public posts like that. As a general rule, I don't know much of the difference between Facebook and Twitter and other things, because it can be easily distorted. Yes, my client says that he did not author the second post. In absolute terms, that's what he says. These are my instructions. And we have the text, it can be produced to see where it appeared from. Absolutely. It would appear as though the second text is the way it is couched, is that has fueled the anger, if you may permit me, the anger and irritation of not only this honorable committee, but also the general public, because that second post is tasteless. It's not right. So this is what I would say. Yes, I wouldn't, but this is his position. Right? It's absolutely not his doing. It's not his act.
I thought that would have been an easy question. Chair. You have already said something. Chair, I'm sorry.
No,
shall we kindly off your mic?
If you are done speaking.
So,
Mr. Chair.
Let me finish. So, you are giving two statements. Which one do you refer to as the first one? And which one is the second one that he is admitting?
The first paragraph, if you the invitation letter, the one that says, so all the monies the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay to the appointment committee just to get approval, and are those not the ones affected by oral? Yeah. And I'm saying that yes, he admits posting it, but he said that it was intended for some other purpose. Okay. Then the second one.
Very well. So, may I find out from him whether the picture holding microphone to speak is his picture?
Yes, that is his picture. But we, Mr. Speaker,
This is the chairman's picture.
Mr. Chairman, I see your picture is also on there. I mean, I'm saying that the publishers or whoever posted that, it's not him. It's on the background of what is that?
It says Ghana Today, but it was posted.
It's a poster by an entity called Ghana Today. He doesn't publish Ghana Today, and it's not his act. This is Ghana Today. That's the point about it. And we've said that we had to do some back check before we found where Ghana or the publishers of Ghana Today are. So we are sorry. I mean, I think that this is what has caused so much grief.
But I am just seeking a clarification, yes, so that members of the committee will be clear regarding what he is admitting to have authored.
Yes.
So yes, the one with his picture, microphone, and my picture, he is not the author.
No. Chairman, he's absolutely clear about that one.
And that is what is dated 25th.